Good evening, Washington, D.C., Facebook, Instagram, everybody that's on social media. My name is Earl Rush, and I am the host of Straight Up Talk with Earl Rush. This evening, I have the privilege of having as my special guest the man, the myth, the legend, DJ Jose Rodriguez. We've got a story to tell. We have a special bond. We have a special friendship. I love him as a son and a brother. He's a phenomenal person, but I could go on, but that's what the interview is about. So we're going to go straight to Jose Rodriguez.
I got my. All right,
Jose!
hey, take your mask off now, sir.
All right.
How's it going? Go go.
It's going good. So I'm going to take it that we both are practicing safe social distancing effects and things like that. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thanks so much for asking. How are you?
I'm doing so good, Jose. I kind of wish it was like two of me, but we're gonna we're gonna get straight into this interview. We have a lot to cover, but I try to keep things pretty straightforward and simple because I'm kind of slow. I'm getting old, so we're gonna start from the beginning, starting at five up until the current time. Just letting the viewers know that I've known you for 20 years, and
Wow.
I thought all along that I may have had a hand in you becoming a legend, but I come to find out you were a legend way before I even knew you. So let's get straight to it. First thing I want to go, where did you grow up? When you were 5 years old, where were you living and where did you grow up?
All right. So five. When I was 5 years old, we were living in North Philadelphia. Went to a Catholic great elementary school, St. Henry's. It was predominantly German and Irish when our families decided to move in the area. Um, Graduated from the same elementary school and went on to high school. So I was a fabric of the North Philadelphia area, and I'm proud to say that. Very proud to say that.
Okay. So when you were growing up, say from 5 to 10, were you into sports or what did you do to have fun while your parents were going to work? What did you do to have fun?
It's a great question. Since we love sports, baseball was our first love at home. Basketball was a really close second. So we were big Phillies fans. We didn't have any park. I mean, the park was kind of far from us, so we had this concrete baseball park where we had around the back where we would play baseball, hit the home run over the dumpster, and you ran the bases. It's just our own sandlot. So I love baseball still to this day. I'm basketball, but I think a lot of people know me for being a really crazy football fan. Go
Right.
Birds.
Definitely, definitely. Now, before we move on, I know we were going to keep things in chronological order so things didn't get crazy, but I promised myself I was going to ask you this after I asked you how were you doing today. What is your affinity with Apple products?
Wow. I mean, everybody must know that about me. Go go. I don't know. I just since I'll tell you since I started when I was really DJing and I went and I transferred over from CDs and went totally MP3. It became a thing where everybody was telling you to buy a MacBook Pro, and since then it just seemed to fit my life. Don't ask me how crazy it is in my house now. It's just way overboard. So since that time, doing that transition into you know playing digitally, it became a thing where it just seemed to fit. So I think they know that by now. I think I have like an Apple camera somewhere in my house from Mac headquarters because they seem to always tickle my fancy to get the best thing.
Yeah, I mean you on the pre VIP order list. Well, let me make this straight. Is there an Apple product that you do not have? I know you got the watch. I know you got the computers. Is there an Apple product that you
Hmm.
don't use?
I'm gonna say I don't think so. I think everything that we do have here is Apple, or it works with an Apple product because there's so many third party things that work. I mean, you have pot roasts and slow cookers that work with Apple products. So it is definitely a big extension of me. Now I'm a nerd now. Now I'm just techie nerd.
No, it's all good. I just know, you know, it's kind of a semi hate thing because I can't get all the Apple products. So I guess maybe subconsciously I'm kind of hating it. Like, how does he get to get all these products? But you know, I know you love them, and you don't want nobody saying anything about Apple products.
Well, it's funny that you had Henry on a couple weeks ago, and when he transitioned over to digital, I was his Apple tech support. A lot of DJs used to call me and ask me initially when they transitioned over to digital side on how to do it and what to do. So I will take that.
Okay. All right. So we're in high school now. We played football. We played sandlot. Junior high. Do you have any ladies and gentlemen that attended high school with you now that you are still friends with, whether they dance or not, that you're still friends with?
I'll say this about our grade school. Our grade school was a very close knit bunch of kids, and I mean I still talk to a few of them. Facebook, social media. One of the great things about social media is that we're able to connect to our friends. I mean, right now that may be the best thing that we can do is use it for a great platform. So I think connecting with your friends, high school, grade school, college for some people, my Marine Corps affiliation with, being in the Marine Corps. So there's a lot of reasons why I still connect with some of the people from back in the day. Yes, I do.
Okay. So, all right. So what made you want to go into the military service? And did this take place right after high school? When did that take place?
Well, joining the Marine Corps was something that I kind of had a hit your head moment when you're like 19 years old and you're kind of like deciding what you want to do. And I always had a Marine Corps sticker when I was a kid in my room. And it seemed that, the seed was planted about if I was going to go to the service, it would be the Marine Corps. So I was about 19 years old and I decided to enlist. I was supposed to go in 1990, actually. But my mom passed away in 90, so I waited a couple years till 1992 to actually go into the Marine Corps. Due to reasons, my brother was still a young kid, and I had to be around for the family, so I delayed my enlistment until 1992, and then I went into the Marine Corps.
Okay. So I'm going to ask if this is strange. Another one of the great DJs in the scene, DJ Renzo, he's also from the military. And you and him know more about equipment than any of the guys that I know. And both of you guys are real picky about everything that you do. Everything has to be so meticulous. I'm wondering, is that from your regimented military training, or were you like that even before you went into the military?
I'll give it to our perspective of music. And I owe that to a very good friend of mine, a guy that basically taught me how to DJ. His name is Miguel. He's really just a DJ that nobody doesn't know him per se as far as, name-wise, but I think he's one of the best DJs I've ever heard in my life. He was so particular. When we made mixtapes, he was so particular on equalizing music, and it was clearer than anybody else's music. It came to be where he's really fickle about the cassettes we bought before we sold our mixtapes. So that's always been ingrained in me. So I got to give that to him. And then the Marine Corps just, took it over the top as far as being impeccable and having some standards on certain things. Yes.
Okay. So you answered a couple of my questions in one statement. The next question I was going to ask you was, were you playing music before you went into the military? So you just answered that because you learned from Miguel before you went into it. So was he your mentor, so to say, safe to say?
He was my alpha as far as I didn't even have records. I mean, my first party that I did was, I'm going to say, a Halloween party for elementary school. We got to go back to St. Henry's. And I didn't have any records. So I remember this like it was yesterday. I actually walked Mischief Night, which is a crazy night in most cities, to his house to pick up some records, and ended up, being bombarded with eggs because everybody was out throwing eggs that night. But he's my beginning. I didn't have the records to even play the music, so he lent me the music. We used the school turntables and some PA system, and that was my first DJ gig. And I actually have a picture of that day. Somebody gave me that picture about 10 years ago, and that picture's so dear to me because that's my beginning. But I didn't have the music to even be a DJ, but that's how it all started. A simple party on Halloween.
Okay, so we're gonna backtrack just a little bit. I asked another person this the other day. What type of music was flowing in your home as you were growing up? What type of music?
Wow. So you're gonna ask me why I love music then, because that question comes from my father and my mother. My dad is his nickname is the Mambo King. I don't even know if you know that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
My
that.
my father's collection of music is why I love music the most. So the music I'm playing, I play for you or anywhere I've ever played, that's some of the music that I grew up with. On top of salsa, not just salsa, you had boogaloo, you had guajira, cha cha cha, but you also had an infusion of Motown. Anybody in the Philly area knows about Butterball on a Sunday night, and he played oldies, and that was like the wind down because my dad played music all the time, but the wind down on Sunday was listening to the Dells, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Teddy Pendergrass, the Chi Lights. I mean, all these great groups that give me another part of why I love music so much. So my father is the real reason that I just love salsa so much. But he gave me that Motown side, the oldie side, that when I play at a wedding and I start to throw that stuff down, people are like, "What? Your name is Rodriguez. What are you doing playing that music?" So it comes from him giving me, exposure to that other side of music he liked.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So, were you okay? You learned from your mentor before you went into the military, but were you known? Were you a DJ at the high schools and things before you went into the military?
So again, going back to Miguel, Miguel was the DJ. I was the MC. Miguel was a man of very few words. So he would say, "Do you want to come to a party with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to go for the girls. Let's go to a party." So I would go to the party, and he would end up giving me the microphone to make the announcements. I was like, "Oh, so this is why he invited me." But it was more because he was not a comfortable person on the microphone.
Okay.
Miguel just wanted to make people dance. So it just became a thing where I started to speak more and more on the microphone, got really comfortable with it. And then that's history because from then on, I created the business cards and I kind of had the people calling me. Miguel still wanted to just play the music and show up, which was nothing was wrong with that. But there was times, again, life changes things where if you want to, how should I say, continue on the path, you got to pick up your skills. So that's how DJing came to be. So I learned in his basement. He taught me a lot in his basement.
Okay. So, how long a stint did you do in the military?
I did 8 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
I did eight
Okay.
years, yeah, proudly.
Okay. Yeah, I know you love the Marines and you love Philly. There's no question or any doubt about your love for those two things. That's for sure.
Listen, I'll tell you, I love DC though. I mean, Philly's home. I love my people here. There's something about you guys down there that's just special, and that's
Wow.
why I just love how you guys roll. I just love one thing about your community. It's so diverse. Like salsa here, the Latin community here. It's kind of like it's really weird where everybody's just in sections. They got their own piece of the pie here. In DC, there's no such thing as that. I mean, everybody comes out to dance. It's from all walks. And I just really like that. I really love that about DC. The diversity you guys have in the dance community, it's to me is second to none. It really,
Okay.
really is.
Well, we appreciate the kind words. I like that. So, Jose,
Mm.
we're out of the Army. Army's done. We've
Marine Corps.
covered.
You
We've
can never
covered.
say Army to a
Oh,
Marine. Go, go.
oh, you are out of the Marine Corps. Okay. All right. we covered your early life. One more thing before we go into that. Did you used to get into a lot of fights when you were a young man, or were you a troublemaker or a peacemaker? I see troublemaker in you, but I don't know.
Gosh, can you see the scars on my hands or something? We've been in some, a couple battles here and there. Wasn't the best of fighters. I thought my words would get me out of a lot of, interactions or, my words also got me in a lot of trouble though. So
Okay.
I can
All
say
right.
I've been in a few tussles.
Okay, I got you. I got you. All right. Okay, so we're out in the Marine Corps. We're coming back to Philly. What was your first gig in a club?
Oh, jeez. What is the name of this place? I'm going to say the Ritz. It was on South Street. And again, going back to my my lack of supplies, I shall say. I'm going to give you another name that some of you may know. I was actually, invited to work at this place. I had some music, but again, I didn't have a lot of music. So, most DJs know to always over prepare. I think technology has helped us, carry more music per se in a laptop than we would crates. So that time we would have, it was just records. It was very little CDs. So another DJ that you guys may know, DJ Shazam, one
Yeah.
DJ from Philly. I used to rent music from him. I used to rent music from Shazam and go play at this club. And the club was on South Street with Maria de Pilar, who is still on the radio in Philadelphia. So that was the first Latin night I ever did.
Okay. You
And
know, you we had DJ Shazam at the DC, the second DC Bachata Congress, and strangely enough, you are the only one that gives him his props. Maybe you were the only one that was exposed to him earlier before everyone else. I don't know, but I knew about DJ Shazam through you, and he's an awesome DJ.
DJ Shazam in Philadelphia, he's been around longer than I think most of the DJs are still doing it. Shazam was always known for a great sound, always having a big amount of speakers. So when you walked into a Shazam party, the speakers were going to blow you away. The sound was incredible. So, and the guy's always been an entrepreneur. He's an example to the community of hard work, and he's always evolved into different things in his life. So you got to salute Shazam. He was part of my beginning as well.
Okay, definitely, and that's good. And that's I believe in that. That's why I always talk about you, Kelvin, and Rick, and everyone. The one thing I like about you, you acknowledge people who helped you. That's important. And you can never acknowledge anyone who helped you enough. That's why I talk about you every day, or I talk about Renzo or DJ or all the DJs that help me because you always have to recognize people that helped you. Some people they get selective memory. They want to give this person some credit, but they seem like they forgot about the person who helped them in the beginning. So I always like the fact that you always talked about Shazam and you always gave him his due credit. That's a beautiful thing for sure. So we're at the place on South Club. So I guess word started spreading around about you, about DJ Jose Rodriguez. And so give us some of the other earlier clubs before we talk about the eighth floor, which is an institution. What other clubs did you DJ at before then?
I mean, to go back to that South Street club, that club, I don't know how long it lasted, but it was a Wednesday. It was definitely different. I'll tell you, there were some good times I spent with my father. That was after my mom had passed away. That he would go with me on them Wednesdays, and we got to hang out a lot. So we would go to the diner afterwards and kind of shoot it up. So it was some good times that I remember. But the night didn't last a long time. So you move on, but we're still doing a lot of weddings and Sweet 16s, etc. Sweet 16s are huge here. But then we started doing there was a club called El Kibuk, and El Kibuk is now Tierra Colombiana, which is a big restaurant here in this city, big nightclub. Then I got to play maybe once or twice at Sylvie's, which was a mecca in the Latin dance scene here in Philly. When I was a young boy, I used to sneak in there, under 21 with my suit on, thinking I was grown, wouldn't shave my face to get in there and look like I was over 21. But I got to play in all these different smaller clubs. But the real I should say the real name came from working at the club you were mentioning that I'll let you segue into.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, that floor, that club, that venue basically changed
Yeah.
stuff on Salsa's life. That's why I guess it would change my life as well.
Yeah.
Uh, at the time, Rick and Kelvin, I had been trying to like convince them to come into salsa, and Rick was at a convention and he met Bernadette Rosado. Okay, and she was crazy about Rick. And so, Rick, he's a really nice guy. She said, Brent, she says, you guys got to come up and dance salsa with me. So now all of a sudden, Kelvin and Rick really want to be into salsa. So
We don't. We know why though.
we ride up to Philadelphia, and Bernie says, "These are my friends," and she introduced us to everyone. It was
As she does, yeah, as she did. God rest her soul.
Rick, Kelvin, Gogo, Tanya, and Maribel Soto and myself. We would come up regularly. And so I guess my question to you is, how did you guys get the eighth floor jumping like that? I mean, give the layout of it. Mike Andino touched on it last week. You had to catch an elevator up to the eighth floor. What part of the city was that in, Jose?
The eighth floor was on the Fairmount. I'm saying the Penn's Landing area near the river in the city. The way the eighth floor started, again, no club in the city. Well, I should say, no club in the downtown area was going to give a Latin night to anybody. So you always started on a weeknight. So I think we started on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and we had to, show that club, the respect or the ability to get a weekend. So we battled for for a long time doing Wednesdays, and I think what really helped us out was Thanksgiving Eve. And I got to give all the credit to David Calabrese. He was the guy that had the dream, the vision of having this club downtown, and we were just invited to be part of this show, part of this experience that it became the B. So we continued to tug along on a Wednesday night, and Thanksgiving Eve came about, which is really the biggest party night of the year for every bar, nightclub, establishment. It's a moneymaker. So we packed the place on a Wednesday. I mean, where there was a line out the door, and we hit it. Like, we saw the ability. So I'm assuming that the owners at the end of their night saw the tally sheet and said, if we could do this on a Friday, let's do it. So we're pretty sure we started to beat their Friday numbers on our Wednesday nights, and it came to be just an amazing place. That I have friends that we can have reunions from that place. It was a special place, man. We kind of created a format that most places have now. The formula that we used at the club was the dance lesson first, and that brought in a lot of people that never danced. I mean, you want to talk about dancers, you want to talk about your Darlene Garcias, you want to talk about your Mike Andinos, you want to talk about your Jessica Rodriguez, you want to talk about Sonia, you want to talk about Barbara. These people all came in. That's where I met them. A lot of these people were students before they became what they are now, being great dancers, great, ambassadors of our music and of our dance and of our history. A lot of them took their first steps at the 8th floor.
Wow. And then we used to go up there and get steak and cheese afterwards and all that. But what I wanted to know is, okay, so you got these people coming up from Philadelphia, and you see this old man, about 42 years old, sliding across the floor, doing handstands to your music with change falling out of his pockets. What was going through your mind the first time you saw me act like that, when you knew that I was mentally incapacitated?
I just had to remember, I have to play this song again. I have to play this song again, because if it's getting a reaction like that from him, It must be a really good song. So, listen, we met before you did the first slide.
Okay.
We had got to meet. Bernie introduced us. Rick, Kelvin, Tanya, Maribel. Yourself. We all got to meet. So you guys became like regulars. And you would tell me, look, I'm going home, going to work, and then coming back up for the Stardust. This is what your routine was. So the loveliness of it, that's how cool we got. But when I would play that last song, because you didn't leave early. Like, Earl, you stayed to the absolute end. And so when I played Mark Anthony's Preciosa, I already knew what was going to happen. I kind of told people, clear the floor because it's about to get mopped.
Whoa, that's some crazy stuff. Jose, people always accuse me of living in the past, but they just have no idea the fun that we had at the eighth floor and the Stardust. They just don't understand, And it was like trying to never be matched.
The scene in Philadelphia, unfortunately, and I love the scene. I love the dancers, and I appreciate all their support. It was just a different era. I mean, I can see friends now that were dancing. You had Rafael Benitez, you had Rick Kelly, you had Paul and Mickey. I mean, these are staples of people that we saw every weekend. Big shouts to Paul Laughlin at the Stardust. He did amazing things here. It was just a different era, and one of the errors that we're missing now is that everybody was dressed. There was a dress code at the eighth floor. Everybody came in clean. There was a dress code at the Stardust, and so and I know that it's kind of relaxed now, but it was just a great time where everybody was just dialed up. Everybody got dressed up, and it kind of changed the ambience. I mean, we had a few battles, but I don't think we had many conflicts at the eighth floor because people came I think when you're dressed up, there's a mentality that you have that you're coming out the party and not really get in trouble. So I do miss that. Me looking out into the crowd and seeing everybody just looking great, man.
It's funny you mentioned the battles, and this is a true story. One night there was a fight in there, and they had a big bouncer from 300 pounds, and a couple of people were jumping on him, and Bernie was the one that was helping the 300-pound bouncer.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we had a few. You mentioned Bernie. I'm telling you, Bernie left us some time now, and she was definitely somebody that I'm not gonna say I ever took it for granted, but it was just she's had such a kind heart, and she was sometimes very misunderstood. But she really is the real reason that you and I are so close.
Yes,
so I owe Bernie so much. And she still remains close to us because she created this thing that we have.
So I'm curious because how did you get over to the Stardust from the eighth floor? Was it word of mouth? Or had Paul coming over? How did you become the DJ of the Stardust?
Well, again, I owe it to the eighth floor. The exposure that I got at the eighth floor. One thing that we always had in there, we had all the baseball players and in there. We had a lot of celebrities that were working in the city would come in town. No one knew what was going on a Friday, and they would go to the eighth floor. We had also a radio broadcast with the Mega. You had Joe Musa, you had VJ Amar. I mean, these guys were there with us too, so they helped elevate the exposure to the club, and then it assisted me and helped me to do a show on a Saturday with VJ on the radio at times. So I was invited to do things like that. But I owe it again back to David. His vision on the eighth floor is why I got the Stardust. So then Paul and I, who remain very good friends now, he had a vision on the Stardust. It was a great venue. I mean, it's one of the best floors, I think, anywhere. I mean, you go to Stardust, still got one of the best floors anywhere. The spacing is great, and then you brought your own spirits with you. People would just make it a night. So the Stardust it got hot quick.
Mm-hmm.
It got hot quick.
That's what I was going to ask you, because when I was coming up there, easy 5, 6, sometimes up to 1,000 people, no exaggeration. So I was wondering, did it start off big like that, or did it grow up like that?
I mean, wow. I think it was a really good successful thing from the beginning. I mean, maybe we need to have an interview with Paul Laughlin. Maybe that
Yeah,
might be something you want to do. But
yeah.
I think he had really good success early. It went through its moments. Like this industry is very funny, and you have also competitors trying to coming from all ends. They're trying to think you can do they can do the same thing you can do. So, but I think it had a run, man, that it was undisputed. Saturday night was a Stardust. When it was open, there was nobody else going anywhere.
I mean, people from all over the East Coast, and one of the reasons why I was coming up to Philly was because, of course, your music and our friendship. But those always labeled a blue collar town. Philly has always had some of the finest women on the East Coast. There were always honeys up there. So I love going up there. And like you said, I met Barbara, Sonia, Jessica, and there were so many women up there that I never didn't see because I was in DC. It was always an exciting time for me to come up there, but they always had plenty and plenty of beautiful women.
Yeah. Okay. Next point.
Okay, so you're at the Stardust. You're at the eighth floor. Are you kidding me, boy? It must have been nice to be you back then. But anyway, it's like so at the Stardust. How did you? I started coming up on the weekends and even on Saturdays before the Stardust. You were having playing at big events, big galas or galas and stuff like that. So how did you get into all the big events for the New York corporate side of things?
The thing that I mean, a lot of people kind of just thought that Jose Rodriguez did club events, but we've been doing the wedding business, and we had few corporate clients, and then but I still think it just went to another level with that exposure, because businesses themselves, they want somebody visible, somebody known, somebody's popular, somebody's name. And my name is like the most common Spanish name in the world. There's just no doubt about it. But it's still, it had some appeal to people because it was being said so much. And again, the promotion, the promoters at all these different venues, they helped us by promoting us too. But we helped them just the same with the quality they wanted from us. So you pick up a lot of corporate events like that, but you always, one thing you have to remember, you can get called the first time, but if you're not professional the first time, you won't get called the second time. So,
Okay.
I've always tried to maintain a professional angle with dealing with all these different clients. And that's why I think we retain them. And I still have some of these clients today that they're still part of our calendar within the year that keep us working. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Okay. And I'm I'm just finding this out a couple of days ago, and I don't even know where you're at time. Um, Henry Knowles and Izzy Rodriguez told me you used to slip over to New York a couple of times and hang out with them. I mean, where in the heck did you find time to do all of that?
Well, I don't know if the invitation, you would go a few times. We would go to New York a few times just on a social tip. I always ask. Back in the day, that's when me and Rafael Benitez, a great on-two dancer in Philly, he would come up with me, and we would take the ride to New York on a Monday. Go see Henry on a Monday. And, Henry's, I'll tell you, the first time I met Henry Knowles was at the eighth floor. He was working, I think I'm trying to remember what artist it was. It might have been Obi Bermudez. I know he'll quote me if I'm wrong, but it was an artist that he was promoting, and he brought him into the eighth floor, and he did a commercial. I'm almost positive. But anyway, that's how I met Henry, and from then on we were cool, and then we got really close, and he started to invite me, but then he started to invite me to play.
Okay.
So then the pressure changes when Henry Knows asks you to play.
Right. Right.
So he would, have me come up on a Monday to play, and New York's they're another hardworking town, another mecca of music, if not the mecca, of music, and they have standards when it comes to music, and Philly wasn't an on-two town then. Philly was a strictly on one town. So going up there, the first few times I went up there, I got to hear the difference of music, and I really started to understand the difference of what they danced on, and just the rhythm. It all being salsa in the main name, but it was different. But Henry's parties on a Monday were like a Wednesday night in Philly.
Right.
Or even a Thursday, sometimes a Friday. It was just a different mentality, and I just enjoyed it. But then he started to ask me to go to work up there, so the pressure was on. Go.
Right. Okay. So I'm working from 6 to 6, 7 days a week. I'm coming up to Philly, as you said. Friday, come home, go back Saturday. Remember, I started out dancing salsa when I was 40. So I'm like 46 now, and I'm like, I love Jose and them. I love Philly. I love Bernie, Darlin, all of them. But this drive every weekend is wearing me out. I just can't go up to Philly every weekend. I just can't do it no more. I'm like, we got to start something in D.C. because, one thing that was really happening on the weekend was Zanzibar from Eileen. So I said, I can't go up to Philly anymore. I was making good money, but then, I was spending money on trains every weekend and running like crazy. I'm lucky to live the schedule I was living. I want to start something here. We're going to do Stuck on Salsa. So what do I say? You know what? I want everybody to hear why I've been going up to Philly the last 3 to 4 years. I want everybody to be exposed to Jose Rodriguez, because even though a lot of people from DC has started to come up to the Stardust.
You're right about that.
Through recommendation of me, it just wasn't the same. So I said, you know what? I had been rolling with DJ Andy at the Caribbean Breeze, and I said, we need to have the best music that we could possibly have. So I said, I'm going to put Jose Rodriguez with DJ Andy. And I was big on, I'm a big WWE fan, okay? And so every month they have some big kind of event. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start something. We're going to have something even once a month or every 4 months or whatever. And it's the beginning of the year. We're going to call it the Resolution Jam.
Boom.
You and Andy come down here and you can verify over 500 people came to Kelvin and I's first big party at the Zanzibar that wasn't on a Wednesday. What was going through your mind when you came down there?
Whew. Again, another different crowd. Andy had a name already. Andy was pretty much established, and everybody knows Andy's. He's very animated, but he's an architect of music. He loves the music so much. So I'm walking into this situation as basically an unknown, and I had to trust myself. I had to. Of course, I worked it out in my head how I was going to play. I remember the ride, playing some music in my head or on the radio, what I was going to play. But I'll tell you what calmed me down, and it wasn't so much that I saw you and I was happy to see you, but I remember seeing Shaka Brown there. I remember seeing Orlando there. I saw a lot of these people that are still part of the DC scene at your first parties, that they were so friendly. They came right up to you, said hello, appreciate the music, thank you, and they just danced. There was nobody bickering. There was no time to talk to nobody after the music started. So they definitely gave you your props when you played the music. So, you guys were so welcoming to me that it was very easy. And then having to, tag team with Andy, who's going 100 miles an hour, He's dancing, playing the cowbell, has the maracas in his hand. I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta dance or do something next to this guy because it was like having like the Temptations or one of them not dancing. It couldn't happen. I had to be animated with Andy to project, the party because it was just a wild time. So, man, it was a great time, man. Great time.
And so we have never looked back since. I know people hate it when I talk about the numbers and all that kind of stuff, but we've never had a party that had less than 400 people, whether it was raining, a big event party. We do the red party, the black and red party. I would always give it some WWE name or something, and we never looked back. And so I really believe Kelvin and I have experienced something that I doubt if any other promoter could say they had. They start a party where there are 500 people, and every time they've had a big party over 20 years, there's never been under 400 people. That's kind of insane, And so
you got to give yourself some credit, though, Gogo. I think one of the major things that promoters today have to understand is that if you continue to shake hands, say hello to people, become approachable. Sometimes you see promoters who are now at a different level because of numbers. No, I don't think numbers ever change you guys. It's always been about the standards you guys placed on the music, quality of music, your performances and your workshops. But it always came back to being a star. And if everybody knows who I am, I've always said that there's only one star here. It's always been the music. There's no DJ, there's no dancer, there's no nobody that can ever be above the music. We are totally blessed to play the music of artists that give their heart and soul to the music. They're trained musicians, people that absolutely love it, and they put that stuff. They do it in the studio and they send it out to the masses. So they're the star, and you've always kept that. That was the level that you kept your parties at, making your music the star, and that's why you're successful.
Well, thank you, Jose. But you set the bar, okay? It's like if you guys can't play like Andy or close to it, I'm not gonna expect them to do like you and Andy were. But if you couldn't play close to it, I can't use you. And a lot of times people think, oh, you think you're cool, you only use certain DJs. Well, one thing about me, I know my crowd. And I know me. And even though I want music for the crowd, let's not forget, I'm going to be there 5 or 6 hours all night. I got to have some damn fun as well. So the DJ got to play what I like, or I can't use them. You understand what I'm saying? So you set the bar, and we've been so lucky. DJ Renzo, DJ Neo, Stephen Green, Mambo Soul. I've been so lucky to have people come after you, but you set the bar. Okay, it's like once people heard you from my parties, everybody all the East Coast wanted to use Jose Rodriguez because they knew that you were the bomb diggity.
Wow, no words, man. It's been an awesome ride, Gogo. To even say them words to me, you think about all the people that have come your way. The DJs that you've had next to me, they're friends of mine. The DJs you had next to me, they've been able to ask me questions, and this is outside of the salsa scene. There's times that maybe once or twice a year. Now that Renzo's a busy guy now, but Renzo. You mentioned Renzo. Renzo would reach out to me because Renzo cares about the craft. He's very professional, meticulous guy as well. So there was, if it either be a wedding or some equipment, computers, Serato, which is DJ software, he would reach out. Neo always ask questions. I've always taken pride in being approachable to these guys because they were curious about the game. Steven, another unsung hero of your. Of Stuck on Salsa is Stephen Green. I mean, what he's done anything you've ever asked of him. To think about Mambo Soul. This is a kid that comes in And I'll tell you one thing, Mamo. So he watches, he observes, he looks around, he sees the post of the dancers. I got to give a shout out to my friend, my brother too, Roland. DJ Philly Boy, another guy that is a perfectionist. And I hope that I have something to do with that because they see my approach,
Right.
being professional. Um, just always being aware of the situation, and another thing too is listening to the dancers. And any advice I can give to a DJ right now would be, don't get so stuck on trying to educate every dancer with every song you play. I think that sometimes we fall into that where we want to play music that we know, or I want to show you what I got. Sometimes people just want to go and dance, and there's nothing wrong with dancing to a song you know the words to. So if you can play a song to take somebody to a certain place in their lives, man, play it. Trust me, play it, because they're going to appreciate that. Because the obscurity of our salsa, you got salsa collectors, you got salsa DJs, but don't ever forget that you're an entertainer. And I know, and I had this conversation with Neil quite a few times, and he understood it. I was like, yeah, sometimes we play for ourselves, but it's really not really about us. It's really about the music. And they appreciate that. And I noticed that some of the guys understood that it was about the dancers really enjoying the music, but it's always good to see a few people out there dancing to a song they know and they're singing. It's just not even it doesn't even have to be salsa. You could be driving down the street and you hear a song that you love, and you're gonna sing it hopefully with the windows closed, because you might not sing as good as the artist, but it takes you somewhere. And so sometimes obscurity in our industry of salsa music, sometimes it could be our Achilles heel, because some people definitely want to hear some music they like. I'll get off my soapbox now.
So what do you think? What was going through your mind when Kelvin called you and said, Jose, we're gonna do a party on the cruise. We're gonna do a party on the cruise boat. You DJing. What was going through your mind?
Well, I gotta go circle back, and I have to remind everybody. My wife was pregnant. When the cruise came to be. So when you guys schedule that, of course you don't schedule a pregnancy. So Jacob was 2 days old when I got on that cruise ship.
Wow.
So yes, Jacob was. I actually went on the cruise ship with a picture of my son, and that's how people first. That's why Jacob is known by everybody. He's part of this too. So just going on the cruise ship when Jacob was very young, but the initial call was like, wow, that sounds great. I went on a cruise prior to this. They have clubs and they have different activities on, but to have a basically a salsa parties on a cruise ship was like, I couldn't even imagine what that looked like. And then I just remember that first night. That first party was still, it's still one of the craziest parties I've ever seen in my life. It was just nuts, man. It was. I think I was using an iPad. No, excuse me. There was no such thing as an iPad. It was an iPod. Yes, it was an iPod, and all I did was have some music on there, and we had to play on top, and the speaker was facing down towards the deck area where everybody was congregating. And first song hit, and just everybody lost their mind. Everybody lost their mind.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, unbelievable. And everybody. We had a lot of stars on that cruise, and you get them alone. You could probably say some were divas or some had attitude, but for some reason, everybody left their egos at the door at our parties, at all our parties, and it was just a time to remember. It was a crazy thing. I want to touch on something right quick before we move on. We still have a few more things to cover.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to ask you was, a lot of people don't know because you're always behind the booth. But I know, Kelvin and I know that you actually know how to dance. And I don't want to put you on the spot here with any of your other DJs that you know that are great. Do you think it helps the fact that you understand how to dance? Does that help you in any way as far as your selections? Because I know some DJs that can't dance a pound but can still play like crazy. Do you think that helps at all?
I'm gonna say 100%. You know, playing music in your parties, but I'll go back to playing in Philly parties. I didn't only do like salsa parties, uh, or Puerto Rican salsa parties per se. You know, when you're dealing with, I did Colombian salsa parties, which is totally different. My dance, the way they dance is totally different, but their music, what they accent, they, when they're stepping, their accent is different to what they're actually hitting the floor on. It's a different style of music. It's all salsa, of course. It's all salsa, but that gave me, I think, an outside edge. Then, if you bring the American element into, we can't forget the countless of people that are not Latino that love our music. We got to give, you've helped our evolution as well. So I'm playing at, I'm going to say, North by Northwest, which is a different crowd of people. They're more American. So I knew not to go in there and totally blow them away with music that they couldn't even, get their feet together with. So that's where I learned to dance on too. Isabel Garcia showed me how to dance on too. She was my
Yes,
teacher.
yes.
Isa taught me how to dance on too. But I think being exposed to different, types of people allowed me to play, differently. But then dancing on two, I mean, I danced on one all my life. I got to go back to my father and the exposure he gave me to the music. But dancing on two gave me just opened up my eyes to salsa. Opened up my eyes to Puerto Rico salsa, which is dear to me. It's what I love to play. So knowing all these different styles of music and these different audiences of dancer helped me to evolve. But dancing to me, dancing to music made me a better DJ. To appreciate, not playing a long song because dancers don't like long songs. Right? So it gave me an appreciation of what music to play, to when to play it. You could play two swift songs and you might be able to keep your floor going. And if it's not a salsa like dance or social, you might be able to get away with two songs that are swift. But that third song got to be, got to bring it down for the other dancer, the beginner dancer, to get them back on the floor as well. So you have to learn to read your audience. But dancing is helped me immensely to be a better DJ.
Okay. Uh, One guy we didn't mention that was one of my favorites. Philly has a. I always crow about you as far as Philly DJ, but DJ has several great DJs. I can't list everyone, but they have a lot of them. But one of my favorite guys, he lives here now, but he's so busy I can't get to play him. DJ Clave.
Well, he lives in your area now. He's actually a hybrid of. He lives down there with you guys, but I know he's a busy guy. Listen, Clave is another one. Again, I love him like a brother, but I just seen it in his eyes, man. He had a hunger to just want to be a better DJ. You know what I'm saying? But we have influences here, bro. Like we have royalty here. We have DJ David Ortiz, who's been on the radio since the radio was invented, almost.
Right.
So I love you, David. But he's been playing music, public radio, Temple, University Radio, and Viaje has been a staple in our city forever. So I got some good influences here. Absolutely.
Yeah, Clave and something else, LeBron, all of them. And so you also got a chance to play at some of the Philadelphia salsa congresses. How did you feel when Sonia had the first one? How did that make you feel? Did it make you feel proud or?
Well, when we had the first salsa congress here, it might have been one of the most star-studded congresses still. I mean, Willie Torres here in Philadelphia, when he did the first salsa congress, he didn't hesitate, man. He brought dancers from all over the world, but the lineup he had for entertainment was bananas. I mean, LeBron brothers were here, who else was here? I mean, there was a lot of acts I can't even remember, but it was just he had just a bunch of people. We actually broke a record on the Parkway, Guinness Book of World Record of a dance party. Like I think it was a dance move that was done on the Philly Parkway that became a record. So I mean, a lot of stuff was done in collaboration with Evelyn. Evelyn Figueroa, then you also had Barbara help and Sonia help. So with all these people, that first Congress was just absolutely crazy. I mean, I was starstruck. I got to meet a lot of great dancers who are still friends of mine. Got to meet Stacey Lopez. Henry was down. Henry Knows was down for that. Some Colombian, I think they're a Cali team from Colombia that were out here. So Willie really did it up the first Congress. So it was really cool. It's really cool.
We talked about my main man, 50 grand, DJ Philly Boy. He's like come out the blue, but he used to party with us. So I would imagine
troublemakers in the house, baby.
Imagine him partying with us all these years. I think that kind of had to help him because he's been around the best and he know what people, like to play, and they don't know Philly Boy. I love him to death. If I had a party in DC, he's bringing 20, 30 people down.
Well, I mean, I can't hang with Philly Boy. I can't drink like that guy does anymore. I don't know how he does it. I just don't know how he does it. But the legendary Troublemakers, we should copyright that name because I am a member. I don't know how much of a member I was, but the way they got down at your parties, they're legendary. I mean, but see, that's the thing though, Gogo, that we all, our roads led to DC when you did a party. So, we had the Philly side coming down, and then there's people coming from Richmond, Kevin and all the people over there, A+, all these people coming on that side. So everybody met in DC to come to your party. So everything kind of stopped for a long time when your party started. So big shouts to the Troublemakers, though.
But I mean, there's not a hotel that Roland and Ryan and Jackie have not been thrown out of because Roland would have the crazy after party in this room, man.
Really good time. A lot of good time. A lot of good memories, man. A lot of good memories.
Yeah. And he's playing really, really good stuff.
Well, no, listen, he got me like going like this a little bit, hearing him out. You know what I mean? I'll be like, I like that song. I mean, he might have heard that with me, but what Philly Boy has done, and again, he works on his craft. People have to respect people that don't just go there unprepared. He's never unprepared.
Right.
As a promoter, as a fashion plate, he's never unprepared. He definitely is always. But the preparation that he has is why he's expanding his reach. And I'm a fan, bro. Philly Boy, I'm a fan, my brother.
Philly Boy. So Kelvin calls you and says, Jose, we're not going to Mexico. We're not going to Miami. We're not going.
Wait, go. Hold on. How can you not talk about Mexico when you had Spanish Harlem Orchestra on the beach in Cozumel? Tell me how you can't talk about Mexico.
Oh, we were going to get to that.
Because okay, I'm sorry. You're the host.
This thing's going to go longer than a long one. I knew I needed to have two parts with with Henry. This one's going to go a little bit past the hour, but we're going to get some more stuff in because we still got to talk about your business and stuff. And we're going to talk about, you touched on us. Tell us about the party, Spanish Harlem Orchestra, all the stars, Cozumel, Mexico. Yeah, tell us about it.
Cozumel, the thing that I know Henry had touched on it, but one of the bigger parts about Cozumel, I don't think Cozumel was ready for stucco salsa. I don't even think they were ready for us on a sound side. They didn't realize that we were bringing only a Grammy nominated band to play on their beach. They weren't ready for that. I don't think anybody was. So when that happened, and again, Henry uses connections. We had great sound. But just to know, and I'll tell you, to circle back again, I always circle back, but, Henry and I were in St. Martin for a week doing an event with Spanish Harlem and I got to know the guys, and just to have my friends around. I mean, I'm thinking back who was there, and I can remember. I can remember David Melendez being there. I can remember Choco being there. I can remember a lot of Philly people being there, a lot of New York people. I remember such a good time that we had, but it was just like we brought us to them, and they were not ready for that, man. And to see people dancing on the beach, in the water, it's a memory that I'll never forget. Never forget.
It's funny, Jose. You and I are very, very close brothers, youngest son, and that was the only time. That trip was the only time I ever got upset with you. We weren't on Cozumel, but we were some other beach island, and we were just having so much fun. And I'm like, Jose, you have to end this party because we got to go back for the
I remember that.
for the rehearsal, the sound check.
Yeah.
Oh, forget that sound check. We partied. And nobody was going to leave because you was playing all kinds of crazy music. I'm like, Jose, come on, we got to do this. So, luckily, David Melendez, he didn't come to the island. He ran the sound check. But I was living. I'm like, come on, Jose. And you just was having so much fun. You just said, forget that sound check, man. They get back whatever way they can. I'm like, you had gotten out of control.
It was, and now that you mentioned it, I remembered. I did forget about that. That might have been the only time we really ever had an argument. Ever. But I was just having a good time, and so was everybody else. So to talk about rules, that's the only time you gave me a rule to pan out. Who wants to have a rule on a Stuck on Salsa cruise? Give me a break, man. Get out of here.
I was like. And I'm looking at Kelvin, and Kelvin's like, what's wrong? What's with your boy? I said, Kelvin, I told him to stop the music, man. I don't know what's going on, And so it was an incredible time. I mean, people just don't have any idea of the stars that were there at that party. They just don't know. No. And
it was an amazing time.
A lot of people don't know one time that you and Stephen Green were down in Atlanta playing for the Flavor Invasion.
Shouts to ATL, man. Shouts to ATL. The Flavor Invasion, Gordon Neal's vision, right? Can we say that?
Yeah.
Gordon just wanted it's almost like a gothic salsa event, the way the lighting was set up, and everybody knows Gordon, the way he has his lighting and everything is very moody. That's what I remember. But the first time I played at Flavor, we had a big snowstorm in Philly.
Right.
So I got the Flavor to play, and I went back to the airport. That's how bad the snowstorm was. But I literally played for about an hour and a half and then got back to the airport. But the ATL has a big part of, Stuck on Salsa, too. I mean, you got, of course, we have, Rick and Natalie down there. But then you have Sheila down there. You have Maya down there. You have Johnny down there. Then we had Jimmy down there at that time. So a lot of these people used to come up for a lot of your events and the cruises and stuff like that. So ATL was popping, man. But they always show love up here.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. And so a lot of people, they call me haters, So sometimes, like you say, you've been there, you've done that. All these radio shows are out right now. People don't realize 2009, 2010.
Wow.
Chris had his talk show. I had my talk show.
Yes.
And it was you and Johnny Geraldo on the Mambo Scene Radio. A lot of people
Mambo Scene Radio. That's right. That's right.
It was a crazy time. I mean, tell us about back then.
Well, Mambo Scene, I remember that it wasn't as easy to connect to the internet back in the day as it is now. So we had to figure out some things to get some of the rolling. So I did my own drops and stuff like that. I pre-recorded some things so that it sounded as radio, similar to the radio as it can be. But it was a good time because I even got to. I don't know how many listeners we got. I mean, one time we had a big base of listeners, and everybody used to look forward to the radio station. I mean, now. Due to the situation with COVID, there's a lot of, people. The cold beat thing is insane. Let's just be real. The cold beat DJ lineup is insane. That he's doing this nonstop.
Yes.
It's nonstop. Mad props to Kobe. But when we were doing it, we would have an hour, and then Johnny was doing an hour. There were some fun times, and then we didn't have a chat or anything like that. So all I saw was numbers. Just 5, 4, 3. So we were very particular when we did it, because we wanted a higher reach of numbers. But that was a good time, man. I totally, we did a lot together. Go. What's going on, bro?
I'm just trying to do my thing. They think this interviewing is I was interviewing people in 2004. There's not nothing new to me, but
Yeah, Mambo Scene Radio. Wow.
So you and I just talked on Atlanta. You and Rick have become real close. We're all like family. Touch on Rick a little bit before we go on.
Well, let me see. What few words for Rick is one of the most genuine people you can know. Had the honor of DJing his wedding. It was a very emotional day for me to be asked to do that. But everybody that knows Rick just knows he's a super nice guy. He's a super great husband, a family man, and just somebody that is just a great person to talk to. Miss him. I miss him and the family so much. And anytime I went down to ATL, they've been so nice to me and accommodating to me. There was never a hotel I could stay in. If it wasn't at the Greenfields. I had to stay at the Greenfields.
Yeah.
They would not have it any other way. So they're family.
It's funny. We talked about you and I, and Kelvin and I have been friends over 35, maybe. Yeah, 35 years. And the only time that Kelvin and I had an argument was, Bernie was his girl. That was his girl. And Bernie and I had a little stuff. Bernie and I were born the same day. So I
never knew that.
Yeah, we both are hard-headed, Sagittarians, and that's how we work. And so Bernie and I had a little scuffle, and Kelvin did not like it at all. He was like, "Come on, Earl, leave Bernie alone. What the hell is going on with you?" And I'm like, "Oh," because he was really, really tight with Rick, and Kelvin loved Bernadette. She could do no wrong. So I'm like, "Come on, Bernie's crazy." And Kelvin and I, we squashed it out. We never had any arguments. But that one day, he was really upset with me because I was yelling at Bernadette. And I'm like,
well, it was your fault then.
Huh?
It was your fault.
Well, I don't know. I think Kelvin and Bernie were wrong on that issue. But, Kelvin was protective of her. So it's all good. I figure as long as you and I and Kelvin have been friends, we've only had 2 arguments. That's really good. So the funny thing is, I touched on this with Michael Andino last week. When we all met, Philly had dance gangs. They had dance school gangs. They had gangs.
Oh, are we talking about this?
Yeah, they were gangs. And I told them, I think it's beautiful now. Now all the studios work together. Mike Andino, Sonia, George, Big George, and all of them, they all work together now. But back then, Philly was, they were notorious. They were notorious for the dance schools and the dance game. But you were able to stay in the middle of it. You didn't get involved with all that drama. You just played. But
well, drama can follow you. I'm not gonna say I was perfect. I had my moments of impulse, like most people do. I think what happens in any dance scene, there's some people that are they're not brought up in this business of like when you're talking about dancers. And I'll give you a prime example of Barbara. Barbara's regiment was bananas. People never understood Barbara Capaldi's regiment in practice was like nobody else's. Sonia's like nobody else's. When you start to peel back these people, dance was their life. So when you start to incorporate and you want to be called a pro, that word pro, you want to be called that, you have to invest a lot of time. So the divas and the pros, they end up, separating themselves. and that happens in every dance scene, that people start to realize that it takes a lot of commitment. If you expect to get up on stage, expect to get criticized if you're not coming right. It's just bottom line.
There you go.
Yeah, bottom line.
So Kelvin calls you and says, Jose, we're not going to Mexico. We're going to Barcelona. What's going on in your mind?
Well, I was flabbergasted, brother. But remember that you guys already were getting your name. Your name was out there. Taco Salsa was doing major parties, so I never took for granted the ride. You know what I mean? I never had any expectations of anything. When you guys called me, I was always grateful. So to get the call to go to Europe with you guys was amazing. Totally grateful. Did we take the ride up together or back?
Yeah, remember I caught the plane from Philly with you.
Yes,
My
that's
plane
right.
was late or something, right?
That's right. Yes. So yeah, but do you recall when we got to Barcelona? I might have felt like I was the fattest guy in the world. Everybody in Spain is like this. Everybody's skinny in Spain. So we're cooped up in this hotel room that's really not for me. It's really for one person, but there was two of us. There was not enough space for two of us. But to go back to your question, I was totally grateful of the opportunity to go play in Europe. It never happened before. I ain't no Henry Knows, man. You know what I mean? Henry do this on a Wednesday or a Monday. He's in Europe somewhere. I was blown away to get asked, man. Blown away.
That Kelvin, he's definitely something else. And I still talk to Lou all the time. I still talk to Lou.
You mean the world traveler?
Yeah, I love him. He's funny as I don't know what.
Big shouts out to Lou, the world traveler.
Whoa. So, okay, here's where we are. We've covered a lot. We've covered Europe. So,
yes.
As time went on, you weren't able to come play at Stuck on Salsa events, and people thought it was something personal, it piss you off or something like that. And it turns out that had nothing to do with it. And we're going to end this hour with tell us about your business as far as you doing DJ and planning events. You make so much money now, you can't come down. You can't afford to come to a Stuck on Salsa party because you would take a huge loss. Tell us about J Prod products, and then we're going to wrap it up.
All right. So, number one, there was never a problem. Why I never went down. Why I couldn't go as frequently, I should say. The business that I've always had here was my business. J Prod Event Resources. We're a one-stop shop where we do. Of course, DJing has always been our, the beginning of the business, but now we've grown up into photography, photo booths, videography, the whole event. So, then it was just me. It was just one guy. So now we're up to 10 guys. Now we're doing, major weddings and events, and anybody in the business, like Hercules knows that Hercules being big shouts to Hercules because I love Hercules himself, another great DJ out of DC.
Yes.
Big shouts to him. He kind of does the same thing I do up here, so it's very demanding to do it. And our success has been the fact that we're very grounded, and we pay close attention to our clients' needs. And we've been super busy. I don't know if a lot of you know now, I barely DJ anymore. I'm taking pictures. I'm a photographer more now than I am a DJ. I've always had a photography bug in me. I did it as a hobby for many years, and I kind of evolved through the grace of God into I'll say a nice photographer who likes to capture moments of people. So we've evolved into something that I'm so proud of. I don't take it for granted, and I'm just continuously trying to learn and evolve into the next best thing in the business.
That's beautiful. So I'm going to make an assumption that you will be voting, or you have voted early already. You're voting this year, correct?
There's no doubt. I voted early, and absolutely voting early, and it's just a right that people before us have died for, the opportunity to vote, no matter what affiliation, what party you vote for. It's important that you voice your you're right. You go out there and you pull that lever for whoever you support, and then after this election, we can all come back to being friends, because I think that right now it's just a little overboard. Not to get too political here, I think once this is over, we'll come back and we'll be able to break bread with people that we haven't broken bread with in a while.
Okay. And so because of the COVID situation, you've also added like producing virtual events to your business as well, correct?
Yeah, we've done some live streaming for weddings, and also, to be honest, we've live streamed a couple services, memorial services, where the numbers of people haven't been able to, COVID has taken some of the most intimate moments, good and bad, out of our lives, where people are not able to celebrate normally, or mourn the loss of a loved one normally. Numbers are dwindled, so the live stream gives people an opportunity where they can see the event virtually from on their phone, computer, desktop, etc., and they're able to at least have some semblance of being there. So, and that happened again by mistake, where somebody asked, and I researched to see how we can accommodate these people at a time of need, and we've gotten some blessings because of it, and we're able to accommodate them people during that time. Very, very proud of that.
Okay. Wow. It's been one heck of a ride, young man.
I tell you, you talk about it, trying to put a friendship in an hour. Talk about a friendship, and if anybody is considered a friend, I think it's very, very, very difficult to compress an hour on talking about that relationship. And it's an hour flew by, because we're just that close, man.
So I want to ask you this before we wrap it up. You got an unlimited budget. They say, I need you to produce a salsa party.
Oh, geez.
Are you calling Kelvin and I first?
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, I don't have another day in my schedule to promote this party. So I know I don't sleep a lot, but I know you don't sleep at all. So the person I'm definitely calling first is you, and I'm definitely calling you. The second person I'm going to call, who's a maverick in this, I'm going to call Roland, because you two, with his preparation and his meticulous way of being, what drives me crazy. You ever see the way he dresses? It drives me crazy.
Oh, he's a model.
Yeah, there's not one thing wrinkled. So between you and him, just on a planning side, y'all the first two calls, because I don't got no energy for that. Because y'all two don't sleep.
Roland is crazy, and one thing I like, most of my good friends, they're friends who don't take no BS from me. You're one, Roland's one, Kelvin's one, Rick is one. I would be running out thinking I'm dressing all cool and everything. And Roland would say, go. Your shoes don't match, and your socks are not matching your outfit. And he would tell me this, And I don't think he cared whether I was sensitive or not. He would just be straight up. You got to tighten that up. So,
yeah.
I don't know my
No, listen. I'm just saying that you be the first two. Now, as far as DJs, don't do that to me.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Don't do that to me, because there's so many DJs that I respect, and there's some really fanatical DJs that I really dig, man. Like some of these young guys that are like in Florida. Some of these guys are just like they're marvels, man. And of course, I got a great love of Philly DJs, but New York DJs as well. Got some people in Ohio that are great DJs. Goody in Canada, Johnny, and you got Johnny. I mean, I can go on. You got Rob. I mean, there's so many DJs that we are very blessed as a community, man. So you get out there, you support your DJs, man. Once this COVID, I tell everybody this: once this reset is over, whoever has a party, the party's gonna be crazy. Once the reset happens, the party's gonna be crazy. So stay tuned, everybody.
Jose Rodriguez, it's been an honor and a pleasure to interview you tonight. It's been an honor and a privilege to be your friend from over 20 years. Thank you so much for all that you've done for Stuck on Salsa. I look forward to seeing you soon, and thank you so much. Have a great evening.
I love you, Go-Go. Listen, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks for all the work you do, man. I don't think you get enough credit. I really don't. I gave you the nickname as Don King of Salsa Promoters. I never lied, brother. I never lied. Take care, brother. I love you, man.
Love you too, Jose. Thank you so much. All right.
You take care.